something unprecedented happened. Something crazy happened. A meeting of minds happened after the State of the Union, and something I wasn't expecting. And watching the reviews on it and some of the comments on it, who would ever think Tucker Carlson going live was Alex Jones breaking down Biden's State of the Union? So let's go ahead and talk about it and bring it up here. Of course, Alex Jones, he is who he is. But let's first bring up Tucker Carlson's analysis first.
The most interesting fact of the speech was the emphasis. There was not a meaningful word for the entire duration about the things that actually matter to people who live here, like crime or inflation or fentanyl or the foreign army now occupying our country. Joe Biden doesn't care. There was no upside for you in any of the things that he said. But he does have a present for you. He's got something to give you, something you want very badly. Here it is.
Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following. And with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about.
Okay. All this aggressive action towards the Supreme Court. Remember, Democrats, you had the chance to have your liberal Supreme Court, but because of your arrogance, because of your hypocrisy, Democrats, you chose to give that up. And hell, you kept on placating Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was, let's face it, not in her prime and already afflicted with cancer. What were you thinking, Obama and Democrats? But maybe secretly they want to lose. But whatever. Point is, when you have a president, any president, start making verbal actions or threats to the Supreme Court, if that had been Trump, oh, the whole internet would be ablaze right now.
Clearly. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
Oh, well, you can't have a safe, clean country or groceries you can afford or schools that will educate your children, but you can't have abortion. You can have a lot more abortion. How's about some more abortion for you? That'll make you happy and free. You can have all the abortions you want. But of course, you already could have all the abortions you want. Abortion is one thing, maybe the one thing that's pretty easy to get in this country.
I swear, they're going to do everything they can. Both parties are going to do everything they can to make you ignore the economy. That's going to be the one issue that should be the number one focus. But okay. By the way, Democrats, you know, there were numerous times you could have codified Roe v. Wade.
And so what this means is that underneath all of the talk is a dire political reality. Joe Biden can't win. In a fair election, Joe Biden will lose in November. He cannot win. That's the thing that nobody in any media wants to say out loud. In a fair election, Joe Biden cannot win. So they're saying the opposite. Here, for example, is the pregame analysis over at MSNBC, which we watched while waiting for Biden to dodder up to the stage, waiting for the amphetamines to take effect. And keep in mind, as you watch this analysis, these are supposedly the smart kids. These are the smart kids, the ones with complicated glasses. These are the ones the White House looks to for guidance. And here's their analysis of Joe Biden's skills. Watch this.
This seems like a weirdly like a counterintuitive hot take, even though it's the most obvious thing you could say, which is that Joe Biden is good at politics.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Like Joe Biden is good at politics. He's very good at politics. Like the man really does know what he's doing. And you really see it in those sort of situations.
Joe Biden is just really good at politics. It's the one thing he's really good at. Really? If Joe Biden is so good at politics, why is he losing to Donald Trump, who the rest of us were assured was a retarded racist, who no normal person would vote for? But now Joe Biden is getting stomped by Donald Trump, but he's also at the same time good at politics? Right. Chris Hayes, ladies and gentlemen, the most famous lesbian in television.
I had to pause there. You know, I said this election cycle was going to be the most entertaining. I'm glad it's being delivered. Okay. This isn't the most important one, but there's a takeaway from here because so far, CNN is saying that Joe Biden in a recent poll did outstanding in the State of the Union. But like everything, just like Tucker's interview with Putin, it's going to dissipate. It's going to be forgotten because there's going to be another shiny thing that will capture everyone's attention because of the great blurring effect. Because we live in a day and age of information, because we live in a day and age in which our attention spans are very short. And people will forget about the State of the Union. And sooner or later, there's going to be maybe a video or videos showing Biden once again acting like the senile old goat that we all know him to be, because not every day can he be caffeinated or, I'm sorry, hyped up or, sorry, hopped up. Oops, I'm sorry, be trained enough to be on point like how he was. And that's debatable if he was on point because let's face it, he was starting to stutter and stammer and slur as we got to the end of the State of the Union because the old Joe Biden was starting to show himself. There's a problem here in American politics, and that is the fact that when corporate media, such as BSDNC or CNN, want to portray Joe Biden as his competent leader, they got these one rare moments where they can possibly get away with it, but they can't maintain that narrative for forever because the polls will once again show as we get into March and then into April, May, June, July, August, and then possibly even, let's say Biden still maintains and is still the Democrat nominee after the DNC convention here in Chicago. Polls might show something completely different, and that is Donald Trump beating Joe Biden. Third parties taking away more votes away from Joe Biden. As it stands right now, the uncommitted movement has more delegates right now than Marianne Williamson for her campaign. That's also including Fat Tony and Dean Phillips. The uncommitted campaign is getting in the double digits, and there's nobody there representing them. Just throwing it out there.
So, again, they can't win, but they're not giving up. So what does that tell you? Well, they're going to steal the election. And we know they're going to steal the election because they're now saying so out loud. Here is the Attorney General of the United States, the chief law enforcement officer of this country in Selma, Alabama, just the other day. Listen to this.
The right to vote is still under attack. And that is why the Justice Department is fighting back. That is why one of the first things I did when I came into office was to double the size of the voting section of the Civil Rights Division. That is why we are challenging efforts by states and jurisdictions to implement discriminatory, burdensome, and unnecessary restrictions on access to the ballot, including those related to mail-in voting, the use of drop boxes, and voter ID requirements. That is why we are working to block the adoption of discriminatory redistricting plans that dilute the vote of Black voters and other voters of color.
Did you catch that? Of course, you're a racist. That's always the takeaway. But consider the details of what the Attorney General of the United States just said. Mail-in balloting, drop boxes, voter ID requirements. The chief law enforcement officer of the United States government is telling you that it's immoral, in fact, racist, in fact, illegal to ask people for their IDs when they vote to verify they are who they say they are. What is that? Well, no one ever talks about this, but the justification for it is that somehow people of color, Black people, don't have state-issued IDs. Somehow they're living in a country where you can do virtually nothing without proving your identity with a government-issued ID without government-issued IDs. So they can't fly on planes, they can't have checking accounts, they can't have any interaction with the government, state, local, or federal. They can't stay in hotels. They can't have credit cards because someone without a state-issued ID can't do any of those things. But what's so interesting is these same people, very much including the Attorney General and the administration he serves, is working to eliminate cash, to make this a cashless society. Have you been to a stadium event recently? No cash accepted. You have to have a credit card. In order to get a credit card, you need a state-issued ID. And somehow that's not racist, but it is racist to ask people to prove their identity when they choose the next president of the United States.
So before we pull up the next video where Alex Jones starts to comment, especially on the State of the Union, let's talk about how the establishment, or at least the Democrats, are trying to make everyone feel guilty, feel ashamed of how they want to vote. Now, we all know well how the vote blue no matter who crowd want to shame Trump supporters. We get that. We've seen it all the time. But we now also see how they shame third parties and independents. If you vote third party, or if you vote independent, somehow you're helping out Trump. If you decide to vote not in line with the Democratic establishment, that makes you the villain. That makes you the threat. That makes you the overall danger to everyone, especially in the vote blue no matter who mindset, because they view you as the overall bad guy, the overall problem. Now, I don't like that. I don't approve of that. But yet, when we have Democrats, especially in power, when you have Democrats who have the favor of corporate media spewing out a neoliberal narrative, unfortunately, anyone that's a free thinker or able to think critically is deemed the bad guy. I want to pull up this video here and start off with, good old Alex Jones.
What's going on?
Yeah.
They want to tell so many lies that you don't have time to counter them all. Because it would take 5 hours to counter all that. I mean,
I gave up in my note taking.
Yeah, everything was a lie. And I mean, the biggest one was like, yeah, this woman got killed by illegal alien. We're trying to stop that. I want to shut down the border. He said, when I win, immediately surge the border. And then they had the big NGOs, the State Department that funds the UN NGOs, have all the illegals come up here. They have UN camps in South America and Central America and in Mexico. And he's running it all. He says, come here. They show up by the thousands in Biden shirts. So he's like, I'm so sad the illegal aliens are killing you. And many of them are convicted felons, a large portion. And then he's acting dumb and saying, oh, no, I'm really sad. Illegal aliens are raping and murdering citizens. So just that little window there, he's playing the good cop to his own globalist policies. Everything that the State Department, the Victoria Nuland's won. And you're absolutely right. First, he comes out and says, Trump is Hitler. And then he moves on to Ukraine. So it's not about the dying cities, it's not about the fentanyl and the needles, the illegal aliens everywhere and the homeless everywhere. It's all about Ukraine because that's their big model to distract us and also launder money. So this is a very, very dangerous moment for America.
Well, there's more. One more right here.
These people are not fulfilled. They don't have that. If you study globalists, they are the most empty. You look at Soros or Alexander Soros, I mean, they have nothing. So they're projecting their hatred, just like a Hitler or a Stalin or a Lenin, on us. We've got to realize they are mentally ill. They are sick. They are cancer. They're malfunctioning. We don't hate them. We just politically cut them out and separate them from the rest of society. And we're at that point right now of the surgery. America and the world's going under the knife, and let's hope and pray that it's successful surgery.
All right, so there's a couple of things to unpack here with that. First of all, when we look at how it is very clear how the Democrats, especially, but not only the Democrats, the Republican Party are intertwined with the military-industrial complex. It is all about control. If it's not one party that's dictating how we go to war, it's another party. Both parties are interested in having conflict. There's the Republicans with Taiwan and China, and then, of course, there's the Democrats with Ukraine and Russia. And, of course, both parties are invested in Israel as Israel continues its genocide in Gaza. Gaza, a place in which over now, I think at this point, we're at 40,000 confirmed dead civilians, men, women, and children. But it's all idea of having control, fear and control, fear and power. These politicians, both parties, want to control people's primal instinct of being afraid. The State of the Union didn't inspire confidence or unify the nation. It caused us to become further divided. And it's not only just people like Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson calling it out. I've been seeing it all over social media. No one's inspired. Now, the vote blue, no matter who sycophants are, of course, as always, saying that Biden exceeded expectations, that he was there for the people. But yet that nutless wonder, Bernie Sanders wearing masks, is enough to convince me that the system is going insane. The system is starting to flounder. The system is starting to crack. I want to pull up this video here of Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones talking about the intense fight that we are due for. And what I mean by intense fight is that because things are so terrible for many Americans, where you hear stories about people struggling day in, day out just to put food on the table, it is reasonable to think that, yes, conflict will be arising. You'll see people being aggressive towards each other because when people are starving, when people lack income, when people lack the opportunity to push forward, they're going to get angry.
You think that as things get more intense, which they will, the people in charge desire violence. They're trying to provoke a violent reaction.
Absolutely. They can't win in a peaceful fight.
But you have said, contrary to what they say about you, you've said, no, remain peaceful, period.
Absolutely. I mean, what they do is anytime you're watching corporate establishment enemy media, you'll see a 3-second clip. That's not, folks, you're being deceived when you see that. So I'll say, like, this is satire. It's the modest proposal by the famous Irish essayist and satirist Swift, that if the world collapses, I'll eat my neighbors. This is a joke. But I go, collapse of the world leads to that. They go, look, he just said I'll eat my neighbors. They're deceiving. It's like that refrigerator game where you have all the little words and you can move the words around and see whatever you want.
Yes.
They basically take our words, move them around, and that's a deception. But when you look at what they're saying, conservatives and populists and Christians are going to kill people and they're going to murder people, and Trump is going to be a dictator and he's planning to, enslave everybody. But meanwhile, they're the ones taking him off the ballot. They're the ones indicting him. They're the ones saying, the Atlantic Monthly, that's the mouthpiece of Sauron, the mouth of Satan, came out 2 weeks ago and said, the headline was something like, even if Trump wins, we're just going to block him. Well, all Trump did was say, I want a 10-day investigation, which is constitutional. They said, they were honest. They said, even if he wins, we'll just decertify him. So they've basically indicted him in Georgia for saying, let's investigate. They're openly saying, we're going to disqualify him, and then it's okay. So again, there's a murder of logic, and people see that, and they're saying, oh, Trump is going to engage in terror, and there's white supremacists everywhere. So I think you can do 2 + 2 = 4. We know false flags are real. Provocateurs are real. We know they tried to stage the kidnapping of Governor Whitmer, and multiple trials. People got released. They finally got the 3rd trial, sent a few to prison, where you've got a bunch of marijuana. You've covered it detailed. A bunch of potheads, friendly little guys. They're homeless. And then they tell them, we'll give you $10,000 a month if you just meet with us and just say you'll kidnap Whitmer. So you're going to see a lot more of that. And we need to disavow that, because that doesn't fix it. We're winning the culture war. So they want to induce us into violence. And they've said they're introducing legislation, the Democratic Party in the House and Senate, to strip Trump of the Insurrection Act, which George Herbert Walker Bush used during the LA riots. And they're saying, we know when he gets elected, if he does, there's going to be huge uprisings, and he's a white supremacist. So we've got to drive him from office that way. So they're planning to torch the country when he's president-elect, before he's in, and try to intimidate everyone. So Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all of this Hezbollah, Hamas protests. And again, I'm not for the war. I don't like how far Israel's gone, but they're invoking.
Of course, Alex Jones had to say, "Oh, look, I'm for Israel, but I'm against what Israel's doing." Alex, come on, buddy, sit down here for a second. It's a genocide. But I want to just kind of filter through some of the things he was saying here, because it's important to hear every side, every perspective. And of course, now that Alex Jones is back on social media, and because now he has got his platform back and he's able to, share his opinions, there is something very insidious about how our politicians, who, again, are owned by the banks, help foment dissent and cause us to be divided against each other. Case in point, any kind of progressive group that has started up, let's be recent here with us, in 2016, the aftermath of the 2016 election cycle, we saw how the Democrats started to co-opt movements like DSA or either that. Let's face it, and this is very, very true. DSA was already owned by the Democratic Party, but also organizations like Justice Democrats, Brand New Congress, Our Revolution, all these progressive groups, these independent groups that were either environmentalists or for social justice, were always quick to be captured by the Democratic Party. And in turn, leadership was changed around, and always leadership of those organizations encouraged their people, their followers to vote and support Democrats because the other side was filled with bad guys. That is something our politicians have been doing for years. But I'm only bringing it up from 2016 onwards because the power of social media, the influence of what somebody says on that platform, be it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever video platform is out there, a person will have sway and power. And who is contributing to that? Well, you have Democrat insiders. And the Republican Party does that as well with their own groups. That's why I always say we have to build movements and organizations not connected to the Democratic Party or Republican Party, because like the parasites that they are, they always want to attach themselves to the ideas that are popular amongst the people. Case in point, when you have politicians like AOC or anyone else of the left who would be promoting Medicare for all, well, Medicare for all was a very popular progressive idea, and the Democrats took it, ran it as their own, and say, hey, give us $5 in every single email that you get from them so that we can put Medicare for all on the House floor for a vote, even though they never do it. But they keep on sending you that same email. Or the better email is, hey, what would Medicare for all do for you and your family? We've seen that happen over and over again. And in the State of the Union, what's going to happen is probably over the weekend, and if it hasn't happened already, or if it didn't happen last night, your emails, your phones will be bombarded with text messages and emails. Hell, you'll probably get phone calls from the Democratic Party saying, hey, can you donate $5? Can you donate $10? Can you donate $15? And they're going to mention a whole list of things about why you should support the Democrats because of, oh, Trump's going to turn America into a fascist state, or either that, if you donate to the Democrats, well, they will fight for Roe v. Wade, or either that, a woman's right to choose. It's all a game. I want to pull up this video here as well. Now, Alex Jones is going to give a little praise to Elon Musk, but I got to say, never put too much stock into a millionaire or a billionaire, because everyone thinking that Elon Musk is a champion of free speech. He ain't.
You mentioned The Atlantic, which is owned by a tech oligarch, Steve Jobs' widow, and almost everything bad in the country is financed by the richest people in the country, I've noticed, the oligarchs. And so all the money is kind of arrayed against the population of the country. That worries me. Can you throw off the yoke if the yoke has, hundreds of billions of dollars?
I think we are, thanks to Elon Musk. I mean, you can say what you want about Elon Musk with all his past activities. He's trying to dominate every technological sector. But Christ said, judge a tree by its fruits.
Yes.
And the last 2 years, let's say it's a 360, like right here is New World Order, and right here is Total Patriot. Musk was already over here. He wasn't a bad guy, but he wasn't perfect. He's moved basically a 180.
Yeah.
So he's like Alec. I mean, look, you're the biggest guy in media. No, it's true. Let's go. It's not about bragging. It's true. You're the biggest mainline, talk show host. Well, I say mainline professional show. Okay, and there's a lot of people under you like me. Elon Musk is way bigger than both of us.
Alex, stop jumping up and down on Elon, please. Stop it.
He's reaching 100 million, 200 million people a day with stuff you would say, or I would say he's devastating them. You don't do that if you're with him. So Elon Musk is definitely for real, because you can't argue with the results.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's just the way the universe works.
This is being powered by X right now, I should just say.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, and he's not censoring us.
No.
In fact, he's boosting us.
Hey. Okay. Yes. Things have changed a little bit with Musk being in, but more or less nothing fundamentally changed on X. Okay. Just change the name. And by the way, folks, again, there are many people who are being censored on X. There are many people being deplatformed or silenced or shadow banned. Now, I don't know if that would be correct to say that he is a champion of free speech. I would say that he does have his favorites here and there. But let's talk about censorship. People are being censored still. All right, people are still being deplatformed. People are still losing followers. It is a thing that is abundantly clear is happening there.
Probably. So the point is, by boosting, getting out of the way. So they've already lost.
And of course, he's simping because Musk gave him money by unbanning him. Let's not go that far.
Lost the culture war. So you can just say Musk, maybe he's an opportunist. He sees the old systems going down. He's shifting over. That's if he's a bad guy. If he's a good guy, he really cares about us and is a humanitarian and a bleeding heart for freedom and has joined us. But you can't argue with what he's done. But back to the violence. They have nothing they can do now but violence. And so we are entering that wheelhouse. We are entering that zone where they're telling us we're violent, they're telling us we're evil, they're telling us we're white supremacists, we're not. And so it's obvious that is about to basically unfold. But I want to tell the establishment, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you'd stage a false flag or provocateur something. It worked. It doesn't work on thinking people now, and it works on less people every day. So I would just advise the globalists give up.
The globalist agenda. We'll see. But that was just highlights of the little debate between Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones, because this Biden town, or I said Biden town hall, this Biden State of the Union is by far the most divisive State of the Union I have ever seen within my time covering politics here. We've been covering and giving analysis to news and events and everything surrounding this neoliberal system that we live in since 2017. And since then, I've been noticing the divide get wider and wider between Democratic voters, Republican voters that are still brainwashed by the two-party system. And here's an unfortunate truth. 50% of the population identifies itself as independent, but yet we are still at the mercy of those who are still hypnotized into voting Democrat and Republican. So that means we're controlled over by a minority group of voters who still think the two-party system benefits us. Think about that. 50% of the U.S. population identifies itself as independent. That means 25% of Democratic voters and 25% of Republican voters are still connected into keeping the rest of us in line, because the two-party system has successfully made sure that there are no independents on the ballot, that there are no independents out there. And thus our voices still remain silent, and they force us to play this game. And what we saw at the State of the Union was Joe Biden constantly instigate fights and cause further division amongst Americans. You're going to have your diehard vote blue no matter who sycophants and your loyal Trump supporters at each other's throats, while the rest of us who are free thinkers, who are critically thinking, who are able to see the bigger picture, we're left in the middle wondering what to do. Unfortunately, nothing has improved. Biden made his speech, and it will be forgotten. It's important for us to remember that as we progress into this year of 2024, as we go on into March and then the following months, especially to the DNC convention in August, we need to remember that the idea of the establishment controlling over us, it can be broken. The establishment system only rules over us if we give it our silent, obedient consent. And for a long time, a lot of us, myself included, I'm pretty sure all of us, before the internet really started becoming more part of our lives, we were all probably wondering, is this how it is? Is this what it means? Is this all that we can achieve to be? And the thing is, it can be better. We just have to step up and break away from it. We have to step up and work together. Because if we don't fight for a better future, all is truly lost. Now, Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson kind of bringing up Elon Musk. Let's be clear. Never put faith or stock into a billionaire. There might be some nice things on X, and I'll have to say that there are some interesting things there. But when I still see people being censored, I know one thing. Nothing has fundamentally changed. Nothing will change until we start activating our power. That State of the Union, if it didn't inspire you to get involved in local politics, or at least getting involved in having your state become a citizen ballot initiative state, I don't know what will. But we have to fight for that better future.